As they headed for Chicago, so many questions rolled around in Jason's head. What did Boreas mean when he said Hera plays a dangerous game? Why did he say they would tear each other apart? And why did Boreas change to his Roman form just from looking at Jason's tattoos? If Jason's presence had caused him to go schizophrenic, the idea that Jason had been sent to Camp Half-Blood seemed to amuse the guy. Boreas, or Apollon, hadn't let them go out of kindness. Cruel excitement had danced in his eyes, as if he'd just placed a bet on a dogfight. "You will tear each other apart," he said with delight, "and Aeolus will never have to worry about demigods again." Boreas assumed Jason was some sort of Roman, and Romans did not mix with Greeks. Piper kept waiting for Jason to offer an explanation, but clearly he didn't want to talk about it. Until now, Piper had been able to dismiss Jason's feelings that he didn't belong at Camp Half-Blood. Obviously he was a demigod, so of course he belonged, but now she wondered if maybe he was something else. What if he was really an enemy? She couldn't stand that idea any more than she could stand Keone. And then there was Leo. He'd been quiet ever since they told him what happened in the throne room. He hadn't said much about his time in the palace, or why the Boreads had singled him out for smelling like fire. Piper got the feeling he was hiding something. Whatever it was, he didn't offer an explanation. Nobody talked, but they knew whatever they might find in Chicago. They all knew Boreas had only let them go because he figured they were already on a suicide mission. As it started getting dark, Piper's eyes started to feel heavy. The encounter with Boreas and his children had scared her more than she wanted to admit. She thought if Coach Hedge were here, he'd probably say something like, "Suck it up, Cupcake! Don't be a wimp!" She'd been thinking a lot about the coach ever since Boreas mentioned he was alive. She never really liked Hedge, but he jumped off a cliff to save Leo, and he had sacrificed himself to protect them on the skywalk. She now realized that all the times at school, when the coach had pushed her to her limits, yelled at her to run faster or do more push-ups, or even when he turned his back and let her fight her own battles with the mean girls, the old goat man had been trying to help her in his own irritating way, trying to prepare her for life as a demigod. On the skywalk, Dylan the Storm Spirit had said something about how he'd been retired to the wilderness school because he was getting too old, like that was some sort of punishment. Piper wondered what that was all about, and if it explained why the coach was always so grumpy. Whatever the truth, now that Piper knew Hedge was alive, she had a strong compulsion to save him. "Don't get ahead of yourself," she chided. "We've got bigger problems. This trip won't have a happy ending." She was a traitor, just like Selena Beauregard. It was only a matter of time before her friends found out. She looked up at the stars and thought about one night about a year ago when she and her dad had camped out in front of Grandpa Tom's house. Grandpa Tom had died years ago when Piper was little, but her dad had kept his house in Oklahoma because it was where he grew up. They'd gone back for a few days, with the idea of getting the place fixed up to sell, although Piper wasn't sure who would want to buy a rundown cabin which was over 100 years old. Since there was no air conditioning and it was the middle of August, Dad suggested they sleep outside. They spread their sleeping bags and listened to the crickets chirping in the grass. Piper pointed out the constellations she'd been reading about: Hercules, Apollo's lyre, Sagittarius the centaur.
"You know, your grandpa would say those Greek patterns are a bunch of bull,"
her dad said.
"He told me the stars were creatures with glowing fur like magic hedgehogs. Once, a long time ago, some hunters even captured a few in the forest. They didn't know what they'd done until night came. When the star creatures began to glow, golden sparks flew from their fur. So the Cherokee released them back into the sky."
"And you believe in all that stuff?" Piper asked.
"I think your grandpa was full of bull too,"
her dad joked.
"Just like the Greeks, but it's a big sky. I suppose there's room for both Hercules and hedgehogs."
They sat for a while until Piper got the nerve to ask the question that had been bugging her. "Dad, why don't you ever play Native American parts?" It was true, of course. The week before, he had turned down several $1 million to play a native guide in a remake of a classic Western series. Something about a cowboy with a domino mask and a white hat and a supposed silvery horse. Piper was still trying to figure out why he'd played all kinds of roles: a Latino teacher in a tough school, a mafia boss in an action movie, even an Italian villain in a James Bones movie. And of course, he would always be known as the King of Sparta. But if there was a part that was Native American, it didn't matter what kind of role it was. Dad would always turn it down.
Too close to home, Pipes, he told her. It's easier to pretend I'm something I'm not.
But doesn't that ever get old? Piper asked. Aren't you ever tempted? Like, if you found the perfect part, maybe that could change people's opinions.
If there's a part like that, Pipes, he said sadly, I haven't found it yet.
She looked at the stars, trying to imagine them as glowing hedgehogs. All she saw were stick figures she knew, like Hercules running across the sky on his way to kill monsters. Dad was probably right. The Greeks and the Cherokee were equally crazy. The stars were just balls of fire. Dad, she asked, if you don't like being close to home, why are we sleeping in Grandpa's yard?
I think you know me too well, Pipes, he chuckled.
You're not really going to sell this place, are you? She asked.
Nope, he sighed. I doubt anyone will even be interested.
The memory faded, and the next thing Piper knew, she found herself on the same dark mountaintop where her dad was surrounded in fire. Only this time, there was no fire, or her dad. She realized too late, at some point she started dozing off on the dragon's back and started dreaming. Then a voice in the dark rumbled,
You forget your duty, child.
Piper couldn't make out his face in the dark, but it was definitely the same voice of the same giant who had been haunting her for weeks, the one who called himself Enceladus. Where is he? She demanded. What have you done with him?
His body is safe enough,
said the giant.
Though I fear the poor man's mind can't take much more of my company. For some reason he finds me disturbing. You must hurry, girl, or I fear there won't be much left of him to save.
Let him go, she screamed. Take me instead, he's just a mortal.
But, my dear,
the giant grumbled,
we must prove our love for our parents. That is what I am doing. Show me you value your father's life by doing what I ask. Who's more important, your father or a deceitful goddess who used you, toyed with your emotions, manipulated your memories? What is Hera to you?
You're asking me to betray my friends? Piper argued.
Sadly, my dear, your friends are destined to die. Their quest is impossible. Even if you succeed, you heard the prophecy. Unleashing Hera's rage would mean your destruction. The only question now is, will you die with your friends or live with your father?
Piper tried to step back, but her feet were heavy. She realized the ground was pulling her down, clinging to her boots like wet sand. When she looked up, the sun seemed to be rising in the distance. Over a line of rolling hills, she saw a familiar landmark past the fog. Why are you showing me this? Piper asked. You're revealing where you are.
Yes, the giant said. You know this place. Lead your friends here instead of their true destination, and I shall deal with them, or even better, arrange their deaths before your arrival. I don't care which. Just be at the summit by noon on the solstice, and you may collect your father and go in peace.
I can't, Piper said. You can't ask me to.
To betray that foolish boy Valdez who always irritated you and is now hiding secrets from you. To give up a boyfriend you never really had. Is that more important than your own father?
I'll find a way to defeat you, Piper said. I'll save my father and my friends. The giant growled in the shadows.
I was once proud too, girl. I thought the gods could never defeat me. Then they hurled a mountaintop on my head, crushing me into the ground where I struggled for eons, half conscious. And that pain taught me patience, girl. It taught me not to act rashly. Now I've clawed my way back with the help of the waking earth. I am only the first. My brethren will follow. We will not be denied our vengeance. Not this time. And you, Piper McLean, need a lesson in humility. I'll show you just how easily your rebellious spirit can be brought to earth.
The dream dissolved, and Piper woke up screaming, free-falling through the air. "Not go!" Leo screamed. Jason came from above, and then wrapped his arms around Piper's waist. "Thank God," Piper thought, but part of her also thought, "Great. Second time this week he's hugged me, and both times we're not really together. And I'm plummeting to my death. Again. I hate my life." Then out loud she said, "We have to save Leo." It wasn't easy, but Jason managed to zoom toward Leo. Piper grabbed him, still wriggling and cursing. "Hey, stop fighting, it's us!" Jason called. "My dragon!" Leo yelled. "You gotta save Festus!" Jason was already struggling to keep the three of them aloft, and Piper knew there was no way he could help a 50-ton metal dragon. They were still high enough so that hitting the ground would flatten them into roadkill or skykill. When Jason groaned, "I can't!" Then they dropped like stones. They hit the roof of the nearest warehouse and crashed into the darkness. Unfortunately, Piper tried to land on her feet, and her feet didn't like that. Pain flared in her left ankle as she crumpled against a cold metal surface. She looked at her foot and a wave of nausea swept over her. Her toes weren't supposed to point that way, were they? "Oh God," she thought. She forced herself to look away before she threw up and tried to focus on anything else. She just noticed they landed on a metal catwalk that ringed the warehouse. How they had survived the impact, she wasn't sure. Maybe the boxes they landed on broke their fall, or Jason's power over the wind softened their fall. Jason just got up and tried to avoid panicking as soon as she saw her foot. "Don't worry, you'll be fine. We're gonna fix this," he said. "Leo, you got any first aid supplies?" "I'm a mechanic, man, not a doctor," he said. "Maybe if... Wait, what was that godly healing stuff they fed you at camp? Rambo food?" "Ambrosia, stupid," Piper said through gritted teeth. Jason pulled out the pastries from her bag. They looked like one of those cute, small lemon-flavored cakes you see sometimes in buffets, but the taste didn't really match. As she chewed it up and swallowed, the taste reminded her of her dad's black bean soup from when she was little, whenever she got sick. The memory relaxed her, though it didn't make the pain in her ankle disappear. "It still hurts," she said. "Give me more." No, Piper, listen. You shouldn't take too much at once," Jason warned. "They say too much could, burn you up or something like that." "Maybe we should try to set your foot," Leo suggested. Piper's stomach fluttered. "Have you ever done that before?" "Well, no," he admitted. "But I did put wings on a dragon, so how hard could it be?" Leo tried to feel for her broken bones, while Jason held her still. He looked at Piper and said, Piper, I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna hurt." Snap! Piper screamed so loud they must have heard her all the way back in Quebec. Good news, her foot was back in the right position. Bad news, Piper accidentally kicked Leo right in the... Well, let's just say it was somewhere you never want to get hit in. "Dang, beauty queen, glad my face wasn't there," Leo complained. "Sorry," she said. "And don't call me beauty queen or I'll kick you again." "You both did great," Jason said. Then Leo picked up a piece of wood off the floor to use as a makeshift splint and tied it to Piper's leg with tape from his belt. "What happened to the dragon?" Piper asked. "Where are we?" "Don't know," Leo said. "Festus, he just jerked sideways like he hit an invisible wall and started to fall." Piper remembered Enceladus's warning.
"I'll show you just how easily your rebellious spirit can be brought to Earth."
Had he actually managed to strike them down from so far away? The idea seemed impossible. If he were that powerful, why would he need Piper to betray her friends when he could just kill them himself? And how could the giant be keeping an eye on them thousands of miles away? Piper had just noticed the logo on the wall. It was hard to see through the graffiti, but Piper could make out a large red eye with the stencil words, "Monocle Motors, Assembly Plant 1. "My best guess, we landed somewhere in Michigan," Leo suggested. "And how far is that from Chicago?" Piper asked. About 2 states away," Jason guessed. "The thing is, without the dragon, we're stuck traveling overland." "No way," Leo said. "It ain't safe." Piper thought about the way the ground had pulled at her feet in the dream, and what King Boreas had said about the earth yielding up more horrors. He's right, she said. Besides, I don't know if I can walk, and Jason, you can't fly 3 people across the country by yourself, can you?
She's right, Jason said. Leo, are you sure the dragon didn't, malfunction? I mean, Festus is old and I didn't repair him right? Leo argued. I didn't say that, Jason protested. It's just maybe you could fix him. I don't know, Leo said. I'd have to find where he landed, if he's even in one piece. It was my fault, Piper said, without thinking. She just couldn't stand it anymore. The secret about her father was heating up inside her like too much ambrosia. If she kept lying to her friends, she felt like she might burn to ashes. Piper, Jason said gently, you were asleep when we got attacked. It couldn't be your fault. Yeah, you're just shaken up, Leo agreed. She wanted to tell them everything, but the words got stuck in her throat. They were both being so kind to her, yet if Enceladus was watching her somehow, saying the wrong thing could get her father killed. Look, Jason, Leo said, why don't you wait here with her while I scout around for Festus? I think he fell outside somewhere. If I can find him, maybe I can figure out what happened and fix him. It's too dangerous, Jason said. You shouldn't go by yourself. Don't worry, I got a lot of dangerous tools up in this belt, Leo said. I'll be fine. Then he turned and headed down the stairs, leaving the unofficial couple alone. You look better, Jason offered. Piper wasn't sure if he meant her foot or the fact that she wasn't magically beautified anymore. Her jeans were tattered from the fall, her boots were splattered with melted, dirty snow. She didn't know what her face looked like, but it was probably horrible. But why did any of that matter all of a sudden? She never cared about things like that before. She wondered if it was her stupid love goddess mom messing with her thoughts. Piper thought if she started getting urges to pull out contacts or brush her hair, she was going to find Aphrodite and smack her. She decided to change the subject. She should have kept her mouth shut, but her mind had been stuck on the same question since yesterday. That photo in your pocket, she said. Is that someone from your past? Jason blushed. I'm sorry, she said. It's none of my business. Forget it. No, it's okay, he said. I got that photo from my cabin. Annabeth told me about her. Her name's Dahlia, and it turns out she's a child of Zeus too. I don't remember any details about her, but I feel as if... Wait, why are you smiling like that? Hmm? Oh, nothing, Piper said, trying to kill the smile. Not an old girlfriend, she thought to herself. She felt ridiculously happy. So, you have a sister. Great. Annabeth told me about her. She became a hunter of Artemis, right? I get the feeling I'm supposed to find her, Jason said. Hera left me just enough memory for a reason. It's got something to do with this quest. But I also have the feeling it could be dangerous. I'm not sure I want to find out the truth. Is that crazy? No, Piper said. Not at all. She stared at the Monocle Motors logo on the wall. Something about that logo with the red eye bothered her. Maybe it was the idea that Enceladus was watching her while holding her father for leverage. She had to save him, but how could she betray her friends? Jason, she said, speaking of the truth, I need to tell you something. Something about my dad. She didn't get the chance. Somewhere below them, metal clanged against metal like a door slamming shut. The sound echoed through the warehouse. Leo? Jason called. No answer. He looked at Piper and said, I don't like this. He could be in trouble, said Piper. You should go check. I can't leave you, he said. I'll be fine, she said, drawing her dagger. Leo's not the only one with dangerous tools. Jason hesitated. I'll leave you the pack, if I'm not back in 5 minutes. Panic? She suggested. He managed to smile. Glad you're back to normal, Piper. The makeup and the dress were a lot more intimidating than the dagger. Get going, Sparky, she joked. Before I scare you. Even offended, Jason looked hot. It wasn't fair. Then, he made his way down the stairs and disappeared into the dark. Piper counted her breaths, trying to gauge on how much time had passed. She lost track around 43. Then, something in the warehouse went bang. The echo died. Piper's heart pounded, but she didn't call out. Her instincts told her it might not be a good idea. She stared at her splintered ankle. It's not like I can run. Then she looked up again at the Monocle Motor sign. A little voice in her head pestered her a warning of danger.
Something from Greek mythology. Bang! The sound was a lot closer this time, directly below her. Had it been 5 minutes? Longer? The steps didn't sound like Jason, but maybe he was carrying Leo. Finally, she couldn't stand it anymore. She squeezed her dagger and called out, Jason? Yeah, he said from somewhere down below. On my way up. Definitely Jason's voice, so why did all her instincts say, run? It's okay, Jason's voice promised. At the top of the stairs, a huge figure appeared with a beefy body the size of a truck and a single bloodshot eye in the middle of his forehead. It's fine, the Cyclops said in a perfect imitation of Jason's voice.
You're just in time for dinner!